Right. So I think we can begin with today's session. I hope you guys can hear me clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. Awesome. So just comfortably sit on your mat. Sit very comfortably on the mat. And when you feel ready, just gently close your eyes. And start observing your breath. This is the natural flow of your breathing as you inhale and as you exhale. Keep the body stable and comfortable. And once you find that stability in your body, you can begin to deepen your breathing. Slow, long, and deep inhalations. Slow, long, and deep exhalations. Relax the mind. And prepare yourself for Om chanting. We'll chant Om one time and then we'll chant the Shanti mantra. So you can repeat after me. I will give some time in between for you to repeat. Inhale deeply for Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
मा
लभे सुखभाग् Shanti.
Join the palms together in front of the chest and feel the vibrations. Rub the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palm. Looking at your eyes. With a smile. Namaste, everyone. Let us begin today's session. So today we are going to, dive into the first stage. Actually, second. I would say second because last time what we did, we can say that it is kind of one stage, but again, it forms a pre-practice only, right? But today we are actually going to do the actual process, like the alternating of the nostrils. Today we are going to practice. So today we are going to actually practice Anulom Vilom. So this is a very well heard of practice, right? Especially in India, Baba Ramdev popularized this practice of Anulom Vilom, right? This is very easily confused with the practice of nadishodhana, but like I said in the previous class also, nadishodhana, has this feature of the retention, right? So when you do Nadi Shodhana, you will see that you generally, add at least one form of retention, either internal or then in advanced stages, both internal and external, both the retentions are added, right? But Nadi Shodhana will have this pause between inhalation, exhalation. And Anulom Vilom is a continuous process, right? So let's just see the meaning of Anulom Vilom. So Anu means with, and V means against. Right? So the when you write Anulom Vilom, ANULOMA, and Vilom is VILOMA. So Anu means with and V means against, right? So Anulom means, with the grain, and Vilom means against the grain. So yeah, one thing is you're flowing with something and then you are flowing against. So Anulom Vilom overall, in English, again, you will find the same name, alternate nostril breathing. That's the English name, same English name. So alternate nostril breathing, right? So Anulom Vilom is a practice where, again, as I said, it's a continuous flow. So again, let's just begin from the very beginning, right? So posture always has to be sitting, right? Sitting posture where your spine remains straight. This is the posture when you do Anulom Vilom. Right? In modern times, this is instead of just calling it Anulom Vilom, you will see that the name Pranayam is also used along with it. So as for modern gurus, this is a technique of pranayam. But if you see the texts, you will see that it is a stage of nadishodhana, right? And nadishodhana is actually the practice that is given in the texts, right? So then let's come to the technique itself. So how is the technique of Anulom Vilom done? So first let me just speak that out loud and then I will demonstrate it also. So the technique of Anulom Vilom is basically when we are alternating the nostrils and breathing through this alternate nostril system. So basically, when I mean alternate nostril, I mean that if inhalation is taking place through one of the nostrils, the other nostril, one thing is one of the nostrils is always blocked, right? So you close the one nostril and inhale through the other nostril. One thing is this. Second thing, if the inhalation has taken place from one side, then exhalation takes place from other side, right? So we'll see that this general tendency we'll see when we practice Anulom Vilom, right? So overall, basically, the technique always starts with the left side. So this is one of the key features of this practices, that the practice always begins with the left side, left nostril. So the main highlighting feature is that the practice begins and ends with the left nostril, right? So this is what you have to be careful about, because these days, the practice is being propagated in the manner that whichever nostril is dominant, begin from that side. Anulom Vilom, nadishodhana, they always begin from left side. And because they begin from left side, so when you complete the round, it always ends also with the left side, right? So by default of the way in which you breathe, right, alternating the nostrils, you will see that the end also takes place with the left nostril. Again, Anulom Vilom has tremendous benefits, right? And with time, you can increase the amount of time you take to inhale as well as exhale during this practice. So with time, like before you even get to the part where you begin to retain the breath, you have to see that, the breath is smooth flowing, right? So another very important feature of the pranayama is breath is smooth and deep. So the breath is generally quite deep when you practice this. So, before this, that is why do other practices and make sure that the nostrils are balanced. So in order to aid this deep breath and the smoothness in the breath is also incorporated due to this reason only, right? So when you do the previous practices correctly, you will see that by the time you reach this practice, the breath has become very smooth and it is also very, very deep, right? So it has the quality of Puraka and Grechaka, like we said, slow, long, and deep, right? So how do we do this practice? Let's come to that. So last time I told you why we form the mudra and how we form the mudra. So with your right hand, you can either go for Prana Mudra or you can go for Nasagra Mudra. So I prefer Prana Mudra, so I will demonstrate in this manner, right? So keeping the back neck straight and the elbow close to the body so that the shoulder can relax. You can, when you gently close the eyes, first we will do certain pre-practices, right? But the main process is done something like this. So you exhale completely. Then you close the right nostril with the thumb. Very gently place your thumb right over right and inhale through left nostril. Once you have inhaled, close the left nostril, exhale through the right nostril. Begin to inhale through the right nostril. And on completion of inhalation, close the right nostril, open the left nostril. And this forms one round of Anulom. Right, so you begin with left and you end with left. And throughout this practice, sometimes you will see that certain people are doing this practice like this. So same thing, but they are, and the body is also moving, right? So then they close the nostril. As they exhale, body is also moving, and there is sound in the breath, right? So when they are exhaling, there is some force that they are applying. So again, if you go according to Hatha Yogic text, this is not the way in which you have to practice. The body has to be stable, right? So the movement that was shown in the body, that shouldn't be there in this demonstration. Second thing, the sound of the breathing, that is also not correct, right? We are practicing all the other three practices so that by this time the breath is smooth flow, right? And there is no sound that is created. So you will gain that kind of control when you correct your breathing pattern, where you are able to inhale and exhale deeply just by correcting the breath pattern, right? So there is no obstruction that you face, right? And the practice that we did last time, that will ensure that both the nostrils are, open. So flow of the breath is easy. So this straining comes in when one of the nostrils, it's not that open, right? So you can go for practices like Shatkarma, 𝐿-𝐴𝐴 you have in your course. So if you do 𝐿-𝐴𝐴, you will see a drastic change in your pranayama practice. Why? Because now the nostrils are clean. When we wake up, we brush our teeth. So every day we are taking care of our teeth. So even nose, ears, eyes, they need to be cleansed regularly, right? So all of the practices are quite important, but mainly the one related to your nose, the 𝐿-𝐴𝐴 practice, is going to heavily support you in your pranayama practices. So you can go ahead, do that, and then when you do pranayama, you'll see your entire practice has changed, right? You have to make sure that the breath is easy flowing, no movement in the body, there is stability in the body and even in your breath, right? So let's come to a few, I would say benefits first, then I will tell you the contraindications also before we get into the practice. So benefits, when we talk of the benefits of Anulom Vilom, yeah. So when you go for Anulom Vilom, one more thing that I forgot to mention, which is a keynote thing, is that inhalation and exhalation needs to be equal, at least in the beginning, right? Then you can change the ratios, but beginner level, generally inhalation is quite long, exhalation is quite short. We exhale very quickly. But when you are doing Anulom Vilom, when you are working on regulating the breathing, right, then you have to make sure initial level, inhalation, exhalation is equal, and eventually you can increase the amount of time you take to exhale. So exhalation should be longer. And in our day-to-day life, we are actually following the opposite pattern where inhalation is longer, exhalation is short. So first bring it to equal and then begin to increase your ratio and increase the exhalation, right? So when I come to the benefits, it's highly connected to all of these keynotes. One thing is when you breathe in and out through both the nostrils, so alternatively, it has been scientifically seen that the breath becomes more stable, the BP goes down basically, so breath becomes more relaxed, right? And the heart rate also goes down, right? So it is an amazing practice for most of the people. Anulom Vilom can be done by most of the people. I will tell you who all cannot do Anulom Vilom. But to most people, Anulom Vilom is open as a practice. So we see on the bodily level, the heart rate goes down, the blood, the BP also, blood pressure also goes down, calming the breathing, right? And calming the nervous system overall, right? So right now, if you are very, very strained, right, or having a very chaotic day, if you sit and practice a few rounds of Anulom Vilom, you will see that overall, you are even on a bodily level, mental level, you feel much more calm. That is because even on a physical level, in studies, it has been shown that it calms down the nervous system, right? The breath becomes much more balanced because again you are alternatively closing the nostrils and inhaling and exhaling through them. So you're making a conscious effort to keep the flow of the breath through both the nostrils, right? So when you do this thing, it has an impact on your body. So it has a very balancing impact on the body. So both the nostrils, the functioning of the nostrils is connected to your brain, right? So if you see, the right nostril is connected to the functioning of the left brain, and the left nostril is connected to the functioning of the right brain, right? So it has been seen that on like both the hemispheres of the brain get balanced out when you practice Anulom Vilom. So most of the things that I'm telling you today, they are going to be valid for tomorrow's practice also, the practice of nadishodhana also. But let's see more scientifically and on a physiological level what all things are happening, right? So if we look at the alternating of the nostrils and the breath, so on a physiological level, the activation of both the hemispheres of the brain and a balance basically between both the hemispheres has been seen to take place when one practices Anulom Vilom, right? When all of this begins to happen, the breathing, the heart rate, all of these things, start to get balanced. That is when you see that overall functioning of the system, it becomes much better, right? So all of the systems in your body, they are going to function much better, be it digestive system, your circulatory system, your, you know, yeah, the digestive system, all other systems, basically, all of the systems can be covered when you see that the blood flow is taking place properly in the body, right? So all organs function much better when you do this, right? On a mental level, what is happening? Let's see. So Anulom Vilom has been shown to calm down and relax the mind. So a lot of studies you will find, as a therapeutic practice in combination with a lot of other practice, Anulom Vilom is given, and Anulom Vilom specifically, prepares you for pranayama. So and it relaxes the mind so much that you become ready. So somebody who is facing stress in their life, anxiety, depression, all of these things, great practice to do, right? So it, because it calms down the mind, it brings a lot of mental clarity. It brings a lot of stability and composure, right? On a mental level, it helps you to plan better. It helps you to take decisions better. So you can see in all the aspects, Anulom Vilom is a great practice. Right? So when you come to emotions as well, it does help you in that aspect as well, because emotions are very like, when it comes to the mind, we like to believe that we can control it, and still, it's much more tangible for us. But emotions just come up, right? I just get angry. So people just get angry and they don't remember, and after they have, taken out all of their anger, that is when, sometimes they come back to their senses and they're just like, oh, I did this, oh, I did that. So emotions have this overwhelming uh, quality to them. So even on an emotional level, people are like feel much better after the practice of it helps you to gain a better understanding of your emotions, and to basically give a pause, right? So it helps you to recognize that some emotion is coming up, right? So if you go for regular practice, you will see this thing that now initially you were very easily triggered when it came to something emotionally very triggered, right? But slowly you will see that it has now started to go down, right? So this is happening because you are balancing out. So nadishodhana is a great practice. Anulom Vilom is a great practice of balancing out. You're creating a sense of balance between both the nostrils, right? So again, when it comes to spiritual practices, as I told you before also, Anulom Vilom and nadishodhana both, it has been said the entire goal of pranayam can be achieved through the mastery of these practices, right? And it has immense spiritual advantage because it leads to the cleansing of the nadis, your energy channels, right? And uh, prepares you for the practices of pranayam, right? So if you can go deeply, you might just derive all the benefits of pranayam from it. But in case you don't, at least you will get prepared for all the other pranayam practices which are going to support you once again to reach the stage of 𝐏�0𝐿, right? Okay. Uh, when it comes to some of the therapeutic advantages, in most places, Anulom Vilom can be used, right? But especially when you increase your exhalation, the ratio of your exhalation, you will see that you're able to induce a much more like uh, relaxative state of the mind. One thing is that. And second thing, which is very important, is for patients of asthma and respiratory disorders, Anulom Vilom forms a great practice. So when you continuously just alternate the nostrils, you will see that people who are undergoing any respiratory kind of disorders, it helps them a lot. Hence, in our current times, like studies are now going on the practices of nadishodhana and its impact on COVID patients, right? So overall, it helps you to increase your breathing capacity, right? When you do, by the time you reach Anulom, right? So if I come to the contraindications, so people who are having any kind of heart disease, so make sure you do not elongate their practice. So don't ask them to go for very long inhalations and exhalations because it might put some pressure on their heart system, right? So just make sure whenever you're making them practice, ask them to stay as comfortable as possible. Do not ask them to go for very deep breathings at that point of time. In the sense that, deep breathing is good, but sometimes we force ourselves to go for longer amounts of time. So in the case of heart patients, you have to be very careful when you are doing that. So make sure that they are in their comfort, they are comfortable with how they are inhaling and exhaling, right? So next thing, which next group of category of people who should avoid is people who are already very introverted. So when you are already kind of very introverted, this practice, increases the level of introversion. That, if you are at say 10 level, you will go to 15 of introversion, right? So if people who are having a lot of difficulty, right, or are very introverted, right? So for them, this practice might just, waver them a little bit, take them deeper into their introversion. So either balance it out later or completely avoid this practice for them, because you don't want them to increase that characteristic, right? And same goes for people with severe depression. So if somebody is in severe depression, then again it's going to induce that state of introversion. And the thing with depressed people is that they are not able to get like very extroverted at that point of time, when they're going through that state of mind. So even though it is good for people like with all sorts of mental disorders, but if you are undergoing very severe form of depression, then it might just end up, making you, taking you in a stage where you get more and more introverted. So try to avoid in that case. And so it won't directly cause any harm, but it's going to, induce that state of mind which might end up causing them a lot of like introversion. They're already not able to interact that much, People who are depressed, they're already kind of withdrawing a lot. So it's better to give them practices which make them more like active and external, right? So these are the few basic things that you need to know about Anulom Vilom, the meaning, the benefits, contraindications, key features, right? If you go and see a lot of researches, you will find much more material on all of these things and scientific studies which are currently being done when it comes to this practice specifically, right? So for today, we are just going to directly step into the practice. Are there any doubts before we begin the practice?
Is this Anulom Vilom, is it different from nadishodhana, or is it just a preparatory thing for nadishodhana?
It's one of the stages of nadishodhana. So over here we are not inducing any retention. In nadishodhana, the original technique that has been given, there is retention after inhalation. So tomorrow we will do that. Today we are preparing ourselves for that stage.
So is it Anulom Vilom also a kind of nadishodhana?
See, nadishodhana, the practice of nadishodhana that has been given in Hatha text, like I said, it involves retention, right? So Anulom Vilom, you can say, is like one stage, but it's not the complete practice. Even though Anulom Vilom is a complete practice in itself, but when you are looking from the point of view of Nadi Shodhana, then it is not the complete practice. It is like, when you prepare the breath, when you prepare yourself for the entire process, sometimes, right now, like when we do pranayams, we are not going to do retention. So when you look at the advanced level of pranayam, you will see that you are just doing one portion of that pranayam. So you are doing that technique, but retention is not there, right? So it's something like that. We are doing breathing in the same manner as Nadi Shodhana, but the retention part is.
Okay, so Anulom Vilom can't be taken out from nadishodhana. It is kind of a part there.
Yes. So the way in which you breathe, we will be breathing right now, like the same way we are going to breathe tomorrow also, but we are just going to add retention to it.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you please name those two mudras we can use at Nadishodhana?
Yeah. So when you fold the first two fingers and place them on the base of the thumb, this is called Prana Mudra. Pranav. I'll just write it down. And when we, place the first two fingers on our forehead and again do this thing. This one is called the Nasagra Mudra. NASAGR.
Great, thank you very much.
I've written, yeah. All right. So if the technique is clear, we can just directly delve into the practice and just see how we feel after the session, right? So now is the time when we implement the practice and see that calm state of mind, experience that calm state of mind. So again, we are going to do some abdominal breathing, and then we are going to do yogic deep breathing directly. And then we are going to just take a few seconds to check if both the nostrils are like, flowing properly. So we're going to go for the practice where, we are taking a few breaths from one nostril, inhale, exhale, then few breaths from the other nostril, inhale, exhale. And then we are going to practice this alternate nostril breathing. So 4 practices we are doing all together, giving each and every practice little bit time, right? So just keep following my instructions and let's just begin the practice. So sit on your mat comfortably, back neck straight. Close the eyes. And for now, just begin to observe the natural flow of your breathing. Keeping the body comfortable. So go for any comfortable posture. Don't force the body. And keep the mind focused on the natural flow of your breath. Slowly deepen the breath. Being aware of each inhalation, each exhalation. Keep the mind on the breath as much as possible. And very gently bring the right hand, place it on your abdomen. Exhale completely. Contract the abdomen and begin to inhale. Expand the abdomen. As you exhale, contract your abdomen. Just continue breathing with this pattern. Three more breaths and then suspend the practice. Slowly relax your hand, place it back on the knee. Keep the back neck straight and just observe how your breath is flowing. We're going to go for yogic deep breathing now. So keeping the back neck straight, place one hand on your chest, one hand on the abdomen. Exhale completely. Begin to inhale, expanding the abdomen. And then the chest completely, giving a rise to the collarbones. And as you exhale, feel the collarbones drop down, the chest go. And contract the abdomen completely. Continue your practice, taking the next few breaths with this pattern. Three more breaths of yogic deep breathing. Slowly relax your hands. Keep the back and neck straight. If you feel the need, now is the time. You can change your posture or else remain in the same posture and observe your breath. Keep the back neck straight. We're going to go for breathing from one nostril. Both inhalation and exhalation from the same nostril. So take the hand position, either the Prana Mudra or the Nasatra Mudra, whichever one you prefer. Keep the elbow close to the body. Close the right nostril and begin to inhale and exhale through the left nostril. To your next exhalation, slowly close the left nostril, open the right nostril, and breathe through the right nostril. Breathing normally. Slowly bring the hand down and just observe your natural breathing. Again, keeping the back neck straight, form either the Prana Mudra or the Nasagra Mudra. We are going to begin the practice of Anulom Vilom. So exhale completely, close the right nostril, and begin to inhale through the left nostril. You have inhaled, close the left nostril, open the right nostril. Exhale. After exhaling, begin to inhale through the right nostril. Close the right nostril and exhale through the left. This is one round. Go ahead and practice a few more rounds of Anulom Vilom. Make sure that the breath is flowing smoothly as you continue your practice. Keep practicing, going deeper with each consecutive round. Complete the round that you are currently practicing. Then suspend your practice. Feeling the impact of the practice, the sense of calmness in the mind. sense of balance. Stability. Feel the impact of the beautiful practice. Join the palms together. We'll just chant Om one time, followed by 3 shantis. Keeping the palms joined together, inhale deeply for Om. Om. Shanti. 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 Rub the palms together. Keep them on the eyes. One more time, let's just join the palms together, rub them together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes, spread the sun of your body. Namaste to everyone.
Thank
Are
you.
there any doubts? Did you face any difficulty when you were practicing? You guys able to practice properly? Okay, so I'll take that as a yes.
Yes.
Everybody was able to practice. Try to work on your breathing because right now you must have felt a lot of obstruction in the breathing. Like it wouldn't have been as smooth as it should be. So as we continue this practice tomorrow, also try to incorporate this thing in your practice that the breathing is smooth. Okay. So if there are no doubts, let's end today's session. Right.
Thank
So
you.
Om Shanti to everyone.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.
Om Shanti.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.